Hey, and welcome everybody to our Big Dave Show virtual field trip number 14. We're finally here, and we're going today to get ready for the big game on this Sunday by going to the Wilson Sporting Goods Factory in Ada, Ohio, just up the road on I-75, about 110 miles from here. And there, our new friend Mike Springer is going to take us on a tour. Wilson makes all the balls for the Super Bowl and the NFL for that matter, and pretty much every college football and everything. You're going to find all this out. It is fascinating. We are going to watch a Super Bowl football, an official Super Bowl football that they'll use this Sunday, be made from start to finish. And then Mike will be on with us afterwards. So if you have any questions, put them in the chat section over there. But without further ado, what do you say we start our Big Dave Show virtual field trip? Here we go. All right, here we are. It's Big Dave with Mike down below me. Hey, Mike.
How are you doing?
Doing good. Okay, so we're ready to go on this tour of the Wilson Sporting Goods Factory in Ada, Ohio.
Correct.
And we're going to watch you make a Super Bowl ball from start to finish. So let's get this started here. This is your little tour you shot for us.
Yep. So, our first operation is our cutting operation. We get leather hides in from our leather supplier out of Chicago, and we manually cut the leather hides to whatever size football it's going to be. These are going to be used in the NFL, so these are NFL size. We also make 5 size for like the high school and college games, and 4 size and 3 size and 2 size for the little kids to play with too. There's 2 different color leather we use. We have an orange there on the left and the red, which is typically what you see in the NFL game. The orange is typically what you see in high school or college.
Okay.
So you always know, like the W that's stamped in the pebbling there. You can always tell if it's an official Wilson football because there's a little W stamped in the pebbling on the ball.
Okay, and so contrary to popular belief, it's not made out of pigskin.
That's correct. It's actually out of cowhide.
Cowhide. So what's going on here now? You're stamping the Wilson logo on there?
Yep, we're stamping the Wilson logos on there. We're stamping the team names. This year it's Kansas City and Tampa Bay. So we're stamping there. So there's multiple stamping operations that these go through, kind of give you an idea of what that ball looks like. It's got the Wilson logo on it, and the Super Bowl 55 logo, and Roger Goodell's signatures on there too for being the commissioner of the NFL.
And so these are the balls. I mean, you guys make them for both teams, and these are the ones they're going to use in the game on Sunday.
Yep, absolutely. So after stamping, we take them back to our splitting operation that you see here. And here we're actually shaving the back side of the leather. And then she places those 4 panels on a scale to make sure that they're to the correct weight. That's the only time in the process where we can make sure that the ball is going to be the proper weight after after all the processes are done.
Okay. And it looks like we've got a sewing machine here.
Yep. So here we've got an old Singer sewing machine. These Singer sewing machines are very old.
I like the 2-liter that's holding the thread there.
Yes, that just helps the thread come off the spool. So we sew this liner to the back side of the leather panels, and that liner is what actually gives the ball its structure. Without these liners on the inside of that leather, the ball would literally just blow up, with the pressure that we put inside. So that liners actually gives that ball the backbone to stay together while it's being thrown and kicked on the field.
Sure.
So after
here we go. I mean, it looks like a football now, but then you take those apart and it doesn't. But I mean, you can tell this is exciting watching this being made.
Yes. So our next operation is what we call our reinforce. So where the laces are actually going to go through the panels on the top of the ball, we have to reinforce that area with stitching so that the ball will stay together. Without that reinforced stitching around there, that ball would just stretch and could eventually come apart. So this is an operation we do on all of our footballs. We put that reinforced stitch around there.
Gotcha. Okay. Now we're off somewhere else. Man, you got a big factory there in Ada, Ohio.
Yeah, we've got about 130 employees that work here every day. So this operation here is our hole punch. So we're punching the hole in the panel because that's where the valve is going to be placed from the bladder. So you can add air, or if you need to take air out, if you have too much air in it, you want to take a little bit out, that's where you put your needle through. So once that hole punch is done, it comes over to our lock stitch sewing operator, and she actually sews the top 2 panels together and the bottom 2 panels together. She's sewing the bottom 2 panels there right now, and then she'll take the brand and the valve panel, will be the top 2 panels, and she sews them together as well. So you've got of the 4 panels that we cut and stamped earlier, now we've got a top half and a bottom half of the football.
Oh, cool. It's coming together. Well, they're fast, aren't they, Mike?
These lock stitch machines are very old. Some of these lock stitch machines date back to the late 1800s, before any of us were even around. So they're
that you guys make these all by hand. You would think there's just a big factory somewhere that just assembly line, nobody human touching it. But look at this. So far, is this going to be like our 7th person that's touched this football, and it's not even a football yet?
Correct. Yeah, there's I think there's actually like 18 steps in making a football. So here he is actually using this machine as a die press to punch out the holes where the laces will go. So he's setting his machine up for the proper size of the panel, and then he's going to turn the machine on, and it's going to come down and it's going to punch. And here we've got 8 holes that are in that half, in that top half section where the laces will go.
Okay.
Now this is what we call the roll pound machine. So the seams that are on the ball, he runs that through those 2 metal wheels there, and that smashes that seam down. And what that does is when the ball is turned right side out and is on the field, those seams are nice and smooth on the outside of the ball. The seams aren't really like sunken into the ball.
Wow.
So here I left you a little note here. So before we sew this football as a complete ball, I left you a little note here that's gonna live in that ball forever.
Oh my goodness, that's amazing. I love this. And you said you make 104 balls for the Kansas City Chiefs, 104 balls for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, right?
Well, it's actually 108. So 108. So we start stamping Sunday night, and each team gets 108 footballs for the Super Bowl for one game. So here, this operation, she's taking the top half and the bottom half and sewing them together. And this is what we call sewing the full. So it's a full section. So It's going to be a full football after she's done here. So this lock stitch machine is a special sewing machine that locks each stitch onto itself. So it's not like if your thread, like in your shirt, in your t-shirt, if your thread were to break, you could grab that thread and just pull it out of your shirt and your shirt would come apart.
Yeah.
This lock stitch machine, if one stitch breaks, that ball still will not come apart. So it's a special machine that we use for our footballs here.
I love that you wrote my name and Viva O'Clock on it. Where are we heading to now?
All right, so this is our turning station. This is Tyler. He's been a turner here, and this is our most physically demanding job in the plant. So he places that ball in a steam box, and that steam box can be up to 220, 230 degrees, and that is just in there to help soften the leather, soften that liner up a little bit. It makes it a little bit easier for them to turn. And then he pulls it out of the steam box. It sits in there for about 30 seconds. And then this pneumatic press comes down and squeezes the ends of the ball out. This press here is actually starting the turning process for him. Then from there, it's all brute force and strength, turning that ball right side out.
Look at that. There it is. I love this.
So then we have to take the ball back over to Katie and have her sew finish sewing the ball. So she's actually sewing the closing here. And then we'll take it back over to Tyler. Katie, this lady that you're looking at here, sewed all of the NFL footballs. So if you're watching the game, guarantee you Katie sewed that football that you see on your TV.
That's got to be crazy when she's watching the game to know that she made that football that Tom Brady or Patrick Mahomes just threw.
Absolutely,
or
absolutely.
Any quarterback, for that matter.
Yep. Yeah. So Tyler's popping the end of the football out, and he's done. He's done his part. Now Tyler might turn 400 or 500 footballs a day for us. You know, so he does that. He does that all day. So our next operation here is bladder and lacing. So
and the bladder is the thing that holds the air on the inside.
Correct. Yep. So she's putting the bladder in the ball right there, and she's putting it through that valve hole that we punched earlier, and then she's pulling it out to seat that valve on the leather, and then she'll put a little bit of air in the ball, just enough air for her to put it in her vise and lace it up. So it's not the finished air pressure at this point, just enough for her. Each lacer is a little bit different. Some like more air, some like less air. It's all on how they want to do it.
This is just wonderful.
Now you see
I never thought this many steps go into this, but I mean, watching them, I see every one of them absolutely necessary, of course.
Yep. So she's got the lace there in her hand, and she has an awl that she puts that lace through the awl and pulls it through those lace holes from the dye-out machine from earlier. So this usually takes her about a minute and a half or so. But you see the tape that she has on her fingers there. When we give tours here at the plant, folks always ask us, why do they have tape on their fingers? Are those Band-Aids? So the more you work with this leather, the leather on the outside of the football is like very abrasive to our skin. So they actually tape their fingers up, so when their fingers come in contact with that leather, it doesn't make them have dry skin and cut their skin.
Calluses or anything like that.
Correct. Correct. It's just kind of protecting their skin from the abrasion on the leather.
So how many footballs do you think she's laced up here in her career at Wilson?
Oh boy. Well, I mean, we have some people that's been here for over 40 years. We have folks out here that are over 70 years old that have worked at Wilson Sporting Goods for over 40 years. So I can only imagine. You know, we make around 2,500 footballs a day. And those are all leather game footballs. And
they're shipped all over the world.
They're shipped all over the world. You know, we've got the NFL, Canadian Football League. There's a Canadian Football League. There's a Mexican Football League. All the high schools, colleges, Division I colleges, Division II colleges, Division III, and then, you know, down to Pop Warner, even those. But so we do all leather game balls, and we do about 450,000 footballs a year. That's our goal.
And 108 of them are for the Super Bowl, and only the Super Bowl.
Only the Super Bowl.
And have you guys done the football for every Super Bowl?
Yes. Yep.
All 55 of them.
Yep.
That's amazing. How many extra do you make of the Super Bowl footballs?
So we do some retail. So you can go to like Wilson.com and you can order a ball very similar to what you see there that has the team names on it and the Super Bowl logo. And we call those the retail version. Gotcha. So you can buy the retail version on our website, and we'll ship it directly from here. Actually, we ship them directly from our facility here right to your door.
What is the Duke?
So the Duke is, he used to be the owner of the New York Giants, and his name was, I can't think of his first name, but his last name is Wellington. and his nickname was the Duke of Wellington. That was his nickname, and he was played an integral part in connecting Wilson and the NFL and creating that partnership between those two. I can't think of his name, but yeah, his nickname was the Duke of Wellington. So just kind of in honor of that partnership between Wilson and the NFL, you know, we put the Duke on there. So that we have the Duke on one side and then the Roger Goodell, the commissioner, on the other.
Now, where are we heading with it now?
All right, so once we're done with the bladder and lacing, it goes to our molding operation. So if you look at that ball there, the seams look, they're not smooth. The ball looks kind of lumpy and dumpy. So we bring it back and we put it in this mold, and I accidentally put it in the wrong mold, so I have to take it out of that mold and put it into the other side.
That's okay.
So we put that needle in there, and we press the buttons and we start that, and the mold comes down, and we actually put 120 PSI in that ball. So if you're familiar with your car tires, the tires in your car, you might have 36 to 40 PSI in your car tires, and we're putting 120 PSI in that ball. So it'll ramp up to, you can see the set point of 120 at the top. So it actually reached 120.1. So then once it reaches that, it drops down to 12.5, which is the air pressure that leaves our facility here. So once it gets down to 12.5 PSI, it'll hold it for 5 seconds, and it'll count 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And if it remains at 12.5 after 5 seconds, the cycle's complete. The mold will open up, and I'll take it out. If it doesn't hold it for that time frame, then it will error out, and it'll alert the operator that, hey, there's might be something wrong. You know, maybe sometimes the lacer will poke the bladder by accident. You know, when they're lacing it with the awl.
Look at
but
that.
this one worked just fine. Next step is I take it over to Barb. She's our inspector. Barb's been inspecting balls for a long time. So the first thing she does is she straightens and tightens the laces. The NFL quarterbacks, they don't want loose laces. So she goes through with her special tool there and tightens those laces up so they're all nice and tight, and straightens them so they look good on your high definition TV come Sunday.
Yeah.
And then she checks to make sure that there's no sewing defects. This is what she's doing now, making sure the seams look good, making sure Katie didn't make a mistake, making sure Tyler, when he turned it, he didn't make a mistake. And then she checks the circumference. And we check, the NFL ball requires 2 circumference checks, one around the noses and one around the belly. And that circumference has to be within a range before we can call it a good game ball. So Barb's checking the small circumference there. Then we set it on this scale. Actually, she's checking the air pressure, checking to make sure the right air pressure is in the ball, double checking it there, and then she places it on the scale. Each ball has to weigh a certain amount for the league. So your circumference has to be good, your no defects, the ends of the football have to be right on, no leather defects, no stamping defects. You can see the valve hole there, and you can see the 2 teams that's going to be playing this coming Sunday.
Look at that. I love it. That's fantastic, Mike. We went from start to finish for an NFL Super Bowl 55 football. It's just amazing.
Yeah, it's fun. It's, you know, there's a lot of people that work here, and there's a passion that these folks have for making the best quality product that meets or exceeds our customers' expectations. And we know if we continue to do that in this factory that's been here since 1941, that, you know, we'll continue to be able to make footballs for the biggest game on the biggest stage out of little Ada, Ohio.
I love it. Just up the road here, about 110 miles from Cincinnati, not very far at all.
Yep, just right off I-75.
Okay, well, I tell you what, Mike, I guarantee you we've got a whole lot of kids with a whole lot of questions. So, what do you say? We leave Ada, Ohio, and come back to Cincinnati and start answering some of them. What do you say?
That sounds good. I'm ready for them.
Thanks for the great tour.
All right. Thank you.
All right, and we're back. That was, boy, that was a lot of fun. I tell you, I don't know about you guys, but who ever thought there was that many steps in making a football for the Super Bowl or for any, just making a football in general? And I see a lot of great questions. You guys can put them in the chat room. And in the chat section there, you guys have already put some great ones. Let's bring Mike in here right now. Mike Springer from Ada, Ohio, and the Wilson factory there. Hey, Mike. You might want to unmute yourself. Are you mute?
Yep.
Nope. Good?
You're good.
And that's one of the balls right there behind you there. And oh my gosh. Let's see. Well, somebody asked how long does it take to make these, so we saw it. What was the first football made? Kirsten wants to know.
So that was, well, we still have, if you want a Super Bowl I football, we can still make you a Super Bowl I football. So, and we've been making footballs here since 1941. So, and it was before me. So I really couldn't answer that question with any certainty.
All right, and let's see. Oh, Lily wants to say, if something is wrong with that football, will it be Big Dave's fault since my name is on it?
That actually, yeah, we would send that to Big Dave, and then we would send him a check. So.
What was the first football made of? Casey wants to know. Do you happen to know that? And why, at some point, were they made from pigs?
Yes.
How did it become saying throw around the pig skin?
Yeah, so rumor has it that the bladders on the inside of the ball used to be made from a pig's bladder, I believe. That they would take the bladder out of a pig and put it inside the ball before we started making them out of urethane, I guess. Okay. So, but as far as I know, the outside has always been made of leather.
I think what variety of colors do you do? I believe it was the orange and the red.
Yeah, so the red you typically see in the NFL games. But like if you're watching a high school or college game, that's typically the orange leather that we have there. It's the same leather, it's just different coloring in it.
Okay. Casey wants to know, how do you get those balls that you make? You made 108 for the Kansas City Chiefs, 108 for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. How do you get them to the team? Do you hand deliver them or mail them, or how do they get there?
So we actually FedEx them. So we start stamping Sunday night of the championship games. When we found out that Kansas City and Tampa Bay were going to be in the game, we started stamping the team names on the ball. And we ship each team 54 on Monday, and then another 54 to each team on Tuesday. So each team gets 108.
You literally work all night, Sunday night after the championship games. Correct. And the next morning you've got 54 ready for each team.
Correct. Yeah. So Monday morning, all we have to do is lace them up, mold them, and inspect them, and then we ship them out from here.
This is excellent, excellent, excellent. What do you do when it's not football season? Do you make other kinds of balls? Miss Shriver's classroom would like to know.
So we actually make footballs all year round. Every Monday through Friday and some Saturdays, we're in here making footballs.
And is that all you make at the Ada plant?
That's all we make, but we customize basketballs, volleyballs, and soccer balls. So you can get a basketball with your name lasered on it or your favorite team's decal on it. We customize those products here, but the only thing we make is footballs, leather footballs.
What about in the movie Castaway and Wilson, the volleyball?
Yeah, so you can buy the Castaway Wilson volleyball off of our website. Go to wilson.com and you can get a replica volleyball from Castaway, yes.
And Josie wants to know, and I believe you answered this, but it warrants saying again, how many footballs do you make a year?
So our goal is 2,500 footballs every day. And then throughout the year, we want between 450,000 and 500,000 leather footballs going out of this facility.
Excellent. One more question from Madeline. She wants to know, how much money does it take to make a year's worth of footballs? Well, that's a lot of, you got to pay the workers, you got to buy the materials.
Yeah, that's a lot of money. I mean, really the most expensive part about the football is the leather. The leather is very expensive to buy, and the way it's processed specifically for us, for Wilson, it's the majority of the cost of the football.
Okay. How much does a Super Bowl, if somebody wanted to buy one of those official game balls, how much does it cost?
I think they're right at $100.
$100. All right.
Give or take.
And, well, there you go. Well, I mean, this has been fantastic, Mike. I want to thank you for taking us on a trip to watch a NFL official Super Bowl football being made right up the road in Ada, Ohio. This is great. You were fantastic. Thanks for the great video work you did in the factory there.
Yeah, thank you very much. You know, we're open for tours as soon as the pandemic is lifted. So we give tours. School buses pull up, and kids have tours. You know, my son and daughter has been through on a tour. Cole and Maddie, they've been through on a tour. So if you're in the area or around, look us up. We're always willing to give plant tours once everybody gets over this pandemic.
Fantastic. Well,
Hi.
all right, guys. Well, thank you, Mike. We sure do appreciate it, and we want to thank you guys and everybody that was in the video. How many people touched that ball and made that ball for us? All those great Wilson workers there. Thank them for us as well.
Very good. Will do. Thank you very much.
All righty. And fantastic. And guys, I know we got to cut it short here today because we got you way behind, but I thought that was really cool. And I know Chelsea, you had a good. I saw Chelsea's face during it, and you were kind of a big fan of those old sewing machines, weren't you?
I really am. It was really cool to see. This was fascinating.
It was. I mean, did you ever? I mean, Statman, did you ever think that many people? It took that many people to make a football?
I had no idea, and that was so fascinating. I want to go buy a football and go toss it around now. I want to see it up close.
Yeah, and Stat's got one of our sponsors there, Grippo's Potato Chips, and also Skyline Chili and Hawksworth Blood Center. And I don't know where Ashley is. Ashley, you texted me during the video, and you were like, "Oh my gosh, this is so cool!" You had none of the guys had seen this other than me yet.
Yeah, this might have been my favorite field trip so far. I absolutely loved it.
It was very informative and very cool. So thank you. And next week, Ashley, you know more than I do where we're going. You can describe it a little better. What are we going to do in honor of Valentine's week next week for our field trip?
Yeah, so we're going to get a behind-the-scenes look at Jeff Ruby's. If you're not too familiar with that, they're going to show us how they make fancy steak, a fancy Valentine's dinner. Ooh, I can't wait.
And we'll see like where they store the meat and everything else.
Oh, whole tour of a big fancy kitchen.
Very nice. It's going to be a lot of fun. So you can sign up for that over on our B105.com. But again, thanks to Grippo, Skyline, and Hawksworth for sponsoring our fun. Guys, sorry about the little snafu earlier, but we got it going, and everybody got to watch the football being made. Enjoy the game on Sunday, and have fun, okay? We'll see you next time on a Big Dave Show virtual field trip. Thanks again to Mike and Wilson and everybody there in Ada, Ohio. Bye, kids.
Thank you. Bye.